What is up, MHA owners? Glad you could be joining us as we look back on the week that was week 9. We got to say welcome back to Brock Bowers, who went off with a vengeance. We probably said goodbye to Jaden Daniels, who suffered a gruesome injury on Sunday night. We might argue that Sam Darnold is for real. And for those stat lovers out there, Joe Flacco threw for 470 yards and 4 touchdowns, and his Bungles team still didn't get the win. Sometimes football is fun, and sometimes football is funny. Eric Lansing, along with Mikey Renault and Todd Diamond. What's up, fellas? How you doing on this Tuesday evening, Miguel?
Doing all right. Coming off a win on Monday Night Football. 6-3, feeling good.
Was there any doubt as that game went along?
Doubt with the Dallas defense? No.
Dang, he's like, nope. Yeah, the Dallas defense is not really good. Todd, how are you feeling? You came out with a victory, correct?
Yes, sir. 6-3 as well, and I'm feeling good. I mean, it felt good to get Matthew Stafford, and Puka back. So, man, it just feels good. Feels good. I'm 6-3.
6-3. Todd with a victory. We'll talk about his matchup here soon. Guys, there is a ton of news to get through, so we better get on that now.
I don't understand what the news is. It's just like, hey, here's a bunch of you can't fix that happened that was horrible.
Well, one of my wishes came true here today. Some of the news from this Tuesday. Jacoby Myers was traded from the Raiders to the Jaguars for a 2026 4th round and 6th round pick. Mikey, does this improve Jacoby Myers' fantasy relevancy, or even Steven, what do you think when you saw that?
I mean, I think he goes from a disappointing quarterback to another disappointing quarterback. Maybe slightly better, but
I mean, he's going to fill in for Travis Hunter, who's out for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, Travis Hunter, who had one good game out of like 7. So, I mean, yeah, if you know the right week you want to play him in a good matchup, then go for it. But every week starter, I'm going to say no.
Says no. All right, what about Saints, who traded off Rashid Shaheed and sent him to the Seahawks to pair up with JSN? As someone who has JSN, is this an improvement over Cooper Kupp? Because it must be if they went and got him.
No, I mean, if I had to rank, like, obviously JSN's the top dog in there.
For sure.
I mean, Rashid
is he better than Cooper Kupp, or is this going to be...
It's hard to say. Cooper Kupp's always hurt, which is not surprising.
Is he hurt now? That I didn't realize.
He is hurt now, yeah.
Oh, okay, so there's a big reason why they traded for him then.
Yeah, Torrey Horton's coming on too. I think I'd rather have him than Shaheed. Shaheed's kind of like a one-trick pony. Well, I guess 2 tricks if you're counting special teams. Yeah, he's a deep guy that can also run kicks and punts. So fantasy relevant, maybe again, if here and there, if you find the right matchup for guys that give up deep passes, then sure.
Todd, was there any other trades that were fantasy relevant for today? I don't think I saw anything major, but may not have seen everything.
No, I don't think so, because a lot of it was more defensively anyway. They were big trades, so yeah, no, not really. I mean, I think teams are. We talked about this before we got on the podcast. Was, teams are just. Not that teams are hesitant, but the price tags for these players, and you got to figure out how close you are to if you really are one offensive player away, from going from being a pretender to a contender really quick, then you do it. But I think teams are just teams just don't want to give up.
What Todd is saying is that he's upset the Broncos didn't do anything. That's what that is.
Okay.
Is that what that is?
No, I'm just
the Broncos
saying
would have done something to do something.
No, I'm just saying teams just don't want to give up that draft capital, which again I understand. Hey, I'm a big big pundit of getting draft picks. Y'all know that. I mean, the NFL draft is, it's one of my happy places. So teams were just like, well, we're not going to give up a first round pick, 2 first round picks for a player that's going to have a big contract and, is good, but also is hurt. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. So you're hesitant a little bit. And Myers to the Jags. I mean, I'll say this. Trevor Lawrence, hasn't been great this year per se, but he is a little bit better than Geno Smith. I think we can all agree on that it's a slight upgrade. It's not a huge upgrade, but it's just it's a slight upgrade.
Well, as the Jacoby Myers owner, I hope things turn around. Hopefully I don't need him, but you never know. I think Jacoby Myers is a good player, but we'll see if that ends up panning out in his favor. Biggest injury from week 9, Chad Powers fan club starting quarterback Jaden Daniels will miss some time, maybe the entire season, after dislocating his elbow on Sunday Night Football, and that was not fun to watch. But that's a big blow for Miles's team. NWA lost somebody for the season, and that was Tucker Kraft. He was coming on here of late. He tore his ACL against the Panthers, and of course, his season is done. Belt Sanders ran with C.J. Stroud in week 9, and he suffered a concussion against the Broncos early in that game. The Texan quarterback is in the concussion protocol and is questionable for this week. I didn't see any updates today. I typed that yesterday, so something to keep an eye on. Cooper's Cousins, running back Omarion Hampton, who was put on the IL due to an ankle injury, is not expected back until after week 12. So that's kind of a tough blow for Cooper's Cousins squad. Butterfingers wide receiver Puka Nacua once again got hurt and had to leave mid-game. He suffered a rib injury, but Coach McVay says he's optimistic about Puka's availability in week 10. Also, another Butterfinger wide receiver got hurt this week. Kayshon Boutte pulled a hamstring in the Patriots win over the Falcons and is considered day-to-day. How about another Butterfingers wide receiver injury? Terry McLaurin re-injured his previous quad injury and will not play in week 10. Damn it, Todd. Your boy Terry McLaurin just can't stay healthy and probably won't be a top 10 running back as you predicted.
Right, yeah.
Wide receiver,
Yeah.
sorry.
I definitely whiffed on that one pretty good. So but I'm 6-3, so everything else is kosher. So
all right. NWA running back Aaron Jones has a sore right shoulder, and something that I just read and Mikey and I kind of talked about before. Tamales at quarterback Jacoby Brissett will start once again in week 10 as Kyler Murray continues to heal. Mikey got the news that he's probably the starter going forward for the rest of the season. So for Marvin Harrison owners and Trey McBride owners, good news, because that team looks a lot different and a lot better with Brissett at the helm. Did I miss anything? Was that the major injury news? Anything else I missed, gentlemen?
I think that's all on par.
Got it covered. That's Coacher.
Well, let's see if I can get through this whole week 9 recap. A lot going on here. I wrote these in order of how they finished in terms of when they finished. And so my matchup was done after Sunday. So we'll start with mine. 4-4 Lemonheads versus 3-5 Cooper's Cousins. This one was a one-sided affair. Jared Goff from the Lemonheads hit Cooper's Cousins tight end Sam Laporta, and that's about as close as it got. Eric's trio of running backs and Josh Jacobs, Jalen Warren, and Kyle Monangai combined for a whopping 58 points. Lemon had 7 players in double figures, and Dylan's team got nice days from Laporta, who had 16, and then Ashton Genty piled in 17, but Travis Hunter was left in the starting lineup, and he was marked out even before that Sunday came along. Jamie J. McCarthy made his first start in weeks, but just scored 36 points. And Lemonhead leads the league in scoring this week in week 9, earning the 159-114 victory to improve to 5-4, while Cooper's Cousins drops to 3-6. Let's take a look at the top team in the league as 6-2 Line Rip took on 3-5 Belt Sanders. Well, the top scoring team had their worst scoring week of 2025 and still came away with the 121-78 win over Allen's team. Belt Sanders didn't have normal starting quarterback Jalen Hurts and starting wide receiver, or normally starting wide receiver Dante Smith due to bye weeks. They went into week 9 with C.J. Stroud, but he obviously, we talked about this before, he left early due to the concussion, only scored 10 points. In that same game, Evan Longoria didn't even receive a target on his way to 0 points. Line Rip got a measly 25 from Patrick Mahomes, but got 100 rushing yards and 17 points from Kyron Williams. Michael Pittman continues to have a solid 2025 season, catching 9 balls for 115 yards. Aaron remains atop of the MHA at 7-2 and has the most points scored at 1,396. Another blowout came in the Butterfingers Eaton W's matchup last week. Mikey and myself mocked him for his first round pick of Matt Stafford. So what did the Butterfingers starting quarterback do in week 9? Well, he outdueled Eaton W's quarterback Josh Allen by a point total of 58-53. While Stafford was having a stellar day, he fed Todd's wide receiver Puka Nacua for 7 catches, a touchdown, and 18 points. But even better than that was Christian McCaffrey, once again masterful against those New York Football Giants. 30 total points. For Kevin's team, they got 10 points from David Montgomery, but no one else really stepped up, including Rome Odunze, who didn't even see a target in the 89-point game between the Bengals and the Bears. The score, 154-103 for the Butterfingers, who now sit at 6-3, while Eaton W's falls to 3-6. Did we have any close games this weekend? Well, 5-3 Hot Tamales took on 2-6 NWA. The NWA had an illegal lineup on Sunday and really couldn't pick up a defense. They were hoping to pick up the Cowboys, but G Squad had a great start to the week as Lamar Jackson returned from injury, threw for 4 touchdowns on Thursday night and recorded 51 points. We also got a ridiculous 32 from Drake London, who hauled in 9 passes, 118 yards, and 3 TDs. Tucker Kraft, who had 2 touchdown catches last weekend, has 6 for the season, left his game early due to that season-ending injury. He finished with just 3. The Hot Tamales had 5 players in double figures, including 49 from Jacoby Brissett on Monday night, 15 points from Jackson Smith and Jigma, 14 from Rashee Rice, and a very important 5.70 points from Bam Knight as the Tamales edged the NWA by 5.47 points. Mikey, you want to talk about your matchup from this week?
Sure. And I can kind of tell you're still in baseball mode because you said in Aaron's matchup that it was Evan Longoria that didn't get targets.
Wow. Evan Longoria, is he even still in the major leagues? I don't think so.
No.
Evan Ingram.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting matchup, and I honestly, going into last night, I felt good because of the Cowboys' defense being so terrible that I figured I had a good chance. And I know it's Jacoby Brissett, but I felt like I had a good chance of getting like somewhere in the range of 50 points, which he was just slightly underneath that. The only thing that was kind of, making me angry was that Dallas kept passing up field goal opportunities to go for it on 4th down and then not getting it. That was dumb. But
Cowboys are bad.
Close win is a win. I will take it. Like I said, I'm happy to be 6-3, and I got a big matchup coming this week with the top team in the league.
That's right. Probably the matchup of the week. We'll get to that. Another close matchup took place between 4-4 Kilgore Trout and 6-2 Notorious CUP. Quain's squad had 5 players score 7 points or less. We got a massive game from Brock Bowers, who torched the Jaguars defense for 3 touchdowns and 36 points. He almost had as many points as his Drake May quarterback, who had 39 against the Falcons, and Justin Jefferson scored his first touchdown since week 1. How crazy is that stat? He ended up with 14 points. On the other side, Devin Achane rolled his way to 67 rush yards, 6 receptions, and 14 points. Starting wide receiver duo of Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins combined for 21 points. This one came down to Monday night. CUP had a 133-80 lead with Dak Prescott still to go for the defending champs. Dak racked up 41 points and cut Quain's lead to within 10, and he had one more drive left to go to try to make the comeback, but he throws a pick instead, and the game falls in favor of CUP 133-121. Quain now up to 7-2, while Joe falls to 4-5. Our final matchup was a close one between 3-5 Chad Powers Fan Club and 4-4 Gonzo Cats, a low-scoring affair. The Gonzo Cats got a 50 burger from Justin Herbert and 25 points between his kicker and his defense. Miles' squad got 2 receiving touchdowns and 20 points from Devontae Adams and 8 catches from Chase Brown, who tallied 15 points. Pollen squad held a 107-76 lead heading into the Sunday night game. Chad Powers had Jaden Daniels and Zach Ertz as the Commanders took on the Seahawks, and Seattle jumped all over Washington and took a big lead. Not a bad thing for Miles, who could use those garbage points, and did so going to a 113-107 lead after the Sunday night affair. Of course, that could have been higher, but we mentioned Jaden Daniels dislocated an elbow, and he was done for the night. Gonzo Cats had George Pickens on Monday night, and he caught 6 passes for 79 yards for 9 points, and that was enough for them to steal away the victory from Chad Powers fan club. 117-113 win. Doe of the week, got to be NWA, right? Mm-hmm. If he was talking about picking up the Cowboys defense, if he would have picked them up, they scored 19 points. We saw them have that punt block for a touchdown in that game. That was just 5-point advantage for Miguel. Do we see anything else, gentlemen?
I mean, it could have been Chad Powers, Aaron Rodgers instead of Jaden Daniels, possibly. But Wan'Dale Robinson over DK Metcalf, that one's also tough. Yeah, because NWA also could have been Aaron Jones over Xavier Worthy, too.
Yep. Tough one, but G, we'll have to give it to you. I think it's for the second week in a row. Hopefully you enjoy Cabo.
No!
All right, Miguel, let's get into our studs.
The cream of the crop! Nobody does it better.
Who was excellent in week 9?
Well, let me tell you who was excellent. Kyle Monangai. That was a pretty big pickup for you a few weeks back. I don't know if you saw him being the starter. DeAndre Swift was playing through an injury, and then all of a sudden this week did not play through that injury against a pretty bad Bengals defense. And, Monangai, just like every other running back against Cincinnati, Breece Hall the week before, took clear advantage of it, over 170 rush yards, which is incredible. Didn't get in the end zone, but which would have really topped it off for you. But hey, I think you'll take 20 plus points from a waiver wire pickup any day of the week.
Absolutely. Yeah, he scored 16 points against New Orleans a couple weeks ago, and DeAndre Swift was just like questionable every week. And you're always looking for those guys that may be able to, and we've always seen DeAndre Swift, and he's had some good games. He's never been super efficient. And so I think at just some point, I'm going to stash him and see what happens. And just kept him on my bench. And then once Swift was out, especially now that Chuba Hubbard is kind of out of the starting mix in Carolina, as now you're benefiting from with Rico Dowdle. So it was luckily amazing. I mean, 26 attempts is amazing, but that's how bad Cincinnati is. We'll see how things go going forward. But yeah, definitely a big time plus in the column of the Lemonheads. Todd, you want to give me a stud from this past weekend?
I'm going to go with, I don't want to give credit to the Raiders because we're playing them this week, but Brock Bowers, man, 36 points, 3 receiving touchdowns. I mean, man, he's going to get all the targets now, but he's just proven why he's the top tight end this year in fantasy. So, man, I mean, we always talk about trying to find, whether you draft one of the top guys or, you go and find one throughout, on the waiver wire. But man, Brock Bowers, he's really good. I think for this year going forward, he submitted himself as the best, tight end, at least in the AFC West, I think. So I'll say Brock Bowers.
Is he the best tight end in the league, Miguel?
He's the best athlete amongst tight ends in the league.
It's hard to call him the best when he's been hurt for a lot of the season, but
yeah,
based on that one outing, sorry, Miguel, he came in with, you're not going to do the math, but he had 36 points this past week, and he had just a little more than 36 in the 4 previous starts that he actually got to play in. So almost doubled his total for the whole season. And let's see, 3, 6, 9, 10. He's 12th. Despite missing 4 weeks, he's 12th in points total. But obviously, when you have a big 36-point week. It's great for any tight end. Go ahead, Miguel. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think if you were to have to redraft it, like honestly, I think in my opinion, Trey McBride would probably be considered the best. They showed that stat last night with him where like he has like I think 6 games in a row now where he has at least 5+ receptions, and for a tight end, that's pretty difficult to do. So McBride is probably the more consistent option.
I would kind of agree with that. I mean, I'm just looking at Brock Bowers' schedule. He has Denver here on Thursday night. Obviously, Dallas stinks. Cleveland's pretty good. Chargers, Broncos again. Philly, Houston's defense. So he's got a tough schedule. And Geno Smith, yuck. I'll take Jacoby Brissett over him for sure. You have to mention CMC. It's an easy pick. I mean, 30 points. What do you have? 28 rushing attempts after having 8 the previous week. So I'm glad that they noticed their mistake and said, you know what, we should probably give our best player a lot more touches. And so to be able to have 28 attempts, 5 receptions, that's a lot of touches. And of course, another 30-point game. That is his second in the last 3 weeks. And it was big, helping Todd come out with the victory. Mikey, another stud.
So another stud would be the guy that you had mentioned earlier, which is Matt Stafford. Yeah. He continues his spectacular play. I mean, he's off to what is probably one of the better seasons of his career, which is saying a lot considering how long he's been playing and the explosive offenses that they had in Detroit. But another 4-touchdown game. I know it was against the Saints, but even still, it's very impressive.
Matt Stafford. Were we wrong to mock him on that for that mock first round? Miguel?
No, because I don't think.
So you still wouldn't put that in your first round today?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, he's not going to get 4 touchdowns every game. It's the Saints. Let's relax. They'll, we'll let this ride, see how it goes the rest of the year. But I feel pretty confident to think that this is not going to be a every week thing.
Todd, give me another stud.
All right, I'm gonna go. Well, actually, I was gonna go on somebody on my team, but
get out. I mean, you scored 154 points, so can't be too mad at you.
Yeah. Where's my other stud?
We lost the stud.
I lost the
where
stud.
It is.
I lost the stud. Hold on.
When I lose a stud, I just look in the mirror.
Oh, very good. Very good.
While you're picking up your stud, I'm going to give you a stud. Okay. I'm going to pick Jaylen Warren, who has been relatively interesting this year. You know, we talked about him or Caleb Johnson, and he was like, well, I've seen, you don't see the rookies and you don't know what to expect. And so sometimes they could be the hot take and pick him up. But I mean, Jaylen Warren's done pretty well for himself this year. I mean, these are his first touchdowns, I think, of the season. But he's been relatively good in terms of catching 3 or 4 passes a game. He's getting a majority of the carries. That one time that he was hurt, Kenneth Gainwell came in and did a lot of work. But, I mean, he's always kind of getting in that 15 to 18 attempts and 4 or 5 targets a game. And this week he was actually able to plunk it into the back of the end zone against a tough Indianapolis defense. So 17 points. And he's trying to see where he is. He's in the top 25 in terms of points. They've had their bye weeks already, but he hasn't been the worst flex guy. And that's been a tough position for me, at least this year. But 7 points, 18, 8, 17. He's been somewhat productive. And he was big for me this week to pick up 17. Did you find your stud, Todd?
Sure did.
All right. Well, let me have it.
All right. Justin Herbert.
Okay.
50 points. That Chargers offense is just, I mean, he just seems like he's playing on a different level. I mean, obviously he kind of has, sometimes he has those throws and so you're just like, okay. But, yeah, I mean, I think he's right there with what Stafford's been doing all season long. And everything. So yeah, Justin Herbert for me.
Mikey, were we wrong about Justin Herbert? I mean, he is second in the NFL. or I should say second in our league in points scored, right behind Mr. Patrick Mahomes. And while we saw him late last year start to put some things together after the running game kind of got injury plagued, obviously they're kind of having that same issue, I guess, this year with Hampton not being in the mix. But I mean, Justin Herbert's been able to be quite productive. I mean, we saw 50, so these last 4 weeks, 50, 49, 70, and 51. He's had some pretty good matchups in there and a couple more good ones to come in Pittsburgh and Jacksonville. But he's done pretty well for himself, someone that we weren't really highly touted on.
Yep, they were kind of forced into it by injury again.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, no Najee Harris, no Omarion Hampton. Like, you go to what your strengths are, and that's the receiving core. Quentin Johnston's been better than he's been over the previous seasons. Keenan Allen still has it, despite what Todd says, and Brad McConkey's not bad himself. And now they have Aronde Gadsden, too, who's shown well at tight end. So, yeah.
Second in the league. Gonzo Cat, you might want to trade one of your quarterbacks, son. You have 2 of the top 5. He's picked the right one, it seems like, last couple of weeks. Okay, let's get to those stinky duds.
This is the worst. You are the worst. I hate looking at your face. I want to smash it.
Todd, we'll start with you this time.
DK Metcalf. Whew. Only 2 points. Yeah, not what you're looking for. Metcalf is the number 1 option in that Steelers offense, and only 2 receptions for 6 yards. Not good. Not good at all.
Yeah, he seems to be a little touchdown dependent. He's had 1 100-yard game this year, but that's their main receiving option. We've seen Freiermuth go off a little bit here and there, but I think teams are starting to figure out, like, let's slow him down and really put a lot of pressure on everyone else to do something. And he's got a tough matchup this week. But yeah, just 4 targets, 2 receptions, and 6 yards. Not what you want from your starting wide receiver. He's got up there with Devontae Adams, had a really good game. But yeah, not a good week from DK Metcalf. Who else stunk it up this past week, Miguel?
Number 1 with a bullet is Roma Dunze.
Yeah, no kidding. Weird.
For a team that scored 47 points, Caleb Williams throwing for as many yards as he did, you telling me he couldn't get one of those to Roma Dunze, who's been his top target all season long? And I mean, he had some targets. I heard that he had dropped some passes, but okay. I mean, in a matchup against Cincinnati, it's like, yeah, you expect this to be full of points. The game was full of points, but a Dunze, big fat goose egg.
Is DJ Moore coming around? He's had a couple of good weeks in a row. Maybe he's back at number 1.
Let's let you believe that. I know you picked him up after Todd had him.
I did, and he's currently in my starting lineup because I have CeeDee Lamb on a bye, and they have the Giants. So
yeah, that'll be a sweat.
81 passes thrown in that game, and he didn't get anything if you count both sides at 81 passes. But he had 4 straight weeks of 12 or more points, and then he's had 3 points or less in his last 3 of 4 games. For me, I'm gonna pick out Kenny Walker the third. Just 7 points versus Washington, 11 attempts, 42 rush yards, a couple of receptions, but hasn't scored a touchdown since week 3. Zach Charbonnet's, not that he's been great really either, but he's the one getting the kind of the goal line carries, and the passing is what's really kind of made that offense go. And Kenny Walker has definitely taken a step back. And for Kilgore Trout, it's one of his starting running backs, and it's hurt him. And that's why Kilgore Trout's 4-5, because Kenny Walker's kind of been disappointing this year. Todd, give me a dud.
All right, I'm going to go with Deebo Samuel.
Deebo?
Where's Deebo? Only 7 points. I mean, again, it's not totally his fault, because the quarterbacks keep getting hurt left and right. But for a
Marcus Mariota is not a good quarterback.
Absolutely not. I mean, I'm ready to put him in the Hall of Fame. I'm kidding, of course. But with you thinking, well, with McLaurin being hurt and everything like that, this is perfect for Deebo to step in. He'll get, a lot of the majority of the targets, and, so forth, and it just hasn't happened yet. But again, it's not his fault that Washington's offense is just straight doo doo, and so
straight doo doo. All right.
Yep.
Well done.
Thank you. But yeah, it's not. When it's kind of like, okay, it's comparing apples to oranges, but when Puka kind of went down a little bit, Devontae Adams stepped right in, and that's what you want with Debo. You want Debo to step in and take over, and he just didn't.
Yep. Debo Samuel. He is one of the most streakiest players in fantasy when he's not hurt. He hasn't really been hurt, but again, it's 18, 15, 4, 16, 18. Looks like he's locked in. Then 4, 0, 3, and 7. So, yeah, that's the fun of owning Debo Samuel. Mikey, who else was bad this past weekend?
Straight doo-doo. I'm gonna go with Evan Ingram. I mean, tight ends suck in general, but I know the Broncos offense wasn't lighting the world on fire, but yeah, not even one catch in that game against Houston.
He did have 3 targets I looked up. Some places have it at 0, some have it as 3. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he just hasn't. He has, I think, 1 touchdown the entire season.
He was much ballyhooed.
He very much was, and he's not all he's been cracked up to be so far, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. And I don't know. I mean, a couple years ago, he had a great year where he had over 100 receptions, right? Or at least he was close. And so I was like, 2 years ago, and he still has it. He's going to go to an offense that thrives on tight ends, and it just hasn't worked out. And I don't know what that means or what that says about the offense or about him, but it's not looking good. And then my last dud, I'll kind of throw it in that back to Allen's camp, though. But I mean, Jordan Addison, 6 points here this week, and in a game where there was some the passes thrown, there were some points scored, but he didn't really get involved into the mix. And that JJ McCarthy back in, and he needed a lot more points with CJ Stroud going down, but with Jordan Addison not performing up, it definitely did not help at all. So yeah, those were the duds. Here is the matchups for week 10. And we mentioned it. Matchup of the week, 6-3 Hot Tamales taking on Broski and the number 1 team in the league in Lion Rip at 7-2. The Lemonheads 5-4 will put up a big test for 7-2 Notorious CUP. 6-3 Butterfingers go after 2-7 NWA. 5-4 Gonzo Cats will face off against those 3-6 Belt Sanders. The defending champs at 4-5, Kilgore Trout, will look to get to 500 against 3-6 Eaton W's, and a pair of 3-6 teams. Chad Powers Fan Club and Cooper's Cousins will go blow for blow in that heated matchup. NFL bye weeks this week, 4 teams on a bye: the Bengals, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, and the Titans. So no CeeDee Lamb or Javonte Williams or Patty Mahomes or Travis Kelce, no Jamar Chase, no Chase Brown, and no Titans. Is there any fantasy relevant Titans that we need to worry about? Probably not. Not. Maybe Tony Pollard, but even then he hasn't been stellar. But yeah, so that's Mikey, big time matchup for you. I don't know if you've looked at the matchup. How are we feeling going into that one?
Well, I do get the fortunate matchup in which he does not have no Mahomes, no Kelce. So I do have that working. No Rashee Rice for me. But, I'm sure that's not as a big deal as, not having your starting quarterback that you rely on to put up a ton of points. And Aaron doesn't have a quarterback, so he has to go into the waiver wire with the pool of garbage that's out there. So,
So with your musical chairs of quarterbacks, who are you going to roll with this week? Do you know yet? I see Caleb Williams in there now with the Giants on the docket.
It's in there for now. I don't have Flacco as an option.
Oh, he's on a bye week, correct?
He's on a bye week. So it'll be between Caleb and Jacoby Brissett, obviously. Haven't made that decision yet. Probably won't until, I don't know, maybe Friday or Saturday.
Well, Jonathan Taylor, who Aaron still won despite a 7-point week. He's back and will take on Atlanta this past weekend. Jamison Williams actually scored a touchdown this past week for Aaron. So we'll see how that kind of plays out against the Commanders. But yeah, I think he has everyone else ready to roll for this week. If you talk about bye week, so he just needs to find. Well, I guess he has Dalton Kincaid, who's actually done all right for himself. He had 17 last weekend, but yeah. So there you go, Todd. How are you feeling about your matchup taking on the NWA, who looks like they won't have Xavier Worthy this week, but they do have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. He also doesn't have Kareem Hunt in the mix. And yeah, maybe he gets like Buka back against New England. How are you feeling about your team?
Well, I mean, you know, he's got a good 1-2 punch in Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry.
No Tucker Kraft. He's on the IR now. He's got to go pick up Tucker. A tight end.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm glad that now that Matthew Stafford and Puka have already had their bye week already. So, yeah, so I feel confident going the rest of the way, but
you got to pick up a tight end and a kicker,
which I already put claims in already, so we're kosher there. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm feeling good. I mean, Matthew Stafford has given me that peace of mind now going forward for the rest of the season that at least 50 points, every week. So, I'm very excited about that. And, I'm going to play RJ Harvey. Because, I don't play him, and then he has great games. So hopefully now that I play him, he'll continue on. But, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about my matchup against G.
Todd's feeling good. Mikey's feeling good. I take on a formidable opponent this week who's 7-2. Get to face off against that Drake May, as we seem to talk about every week. Although he had a tough week against Atlanta's defense, only 39 points. But that Tampa game at 11 in the morning could be a high-scoring affair. So we'll see how that goes. I do not have CeeDee Lamb for this week, but I think that is really my only buy option this weekend. So I'll get to face off against Ladd McConkey and Justin Jefferson. We'll see if Travion can put up back-to-back double-digit weeks. But Brock Bowers, that'll be a fun matchup. McBride versus Brock Bowers. Although Bowers got to face off against that tough Broncos D on Thursday night. The Broncos play on Thursday night, so everybody be ready for those. So it should be a fun matchup. I don't know where it's going to come down to. I would love to see Sutton get more than one catch on a weekend. that should be the case against the Raiders here this weekend. All right. So any last words? I mean, we're not even at 40 minutes yet. We have been really efficient here today. Anything you guys want to say about week 9 or about week 10 or about football in general?
Well, I've noticed this so far this season. It's been like we've had more surprises in like players that we really didn't think we're gonna have great fantasy football seasons, and some just coming out of left field and so forth. So that's what I've been kind of noticing a lot.
Can you give me some examples?
Well, I would say kind of with the rookies. We talked about Tyler Warren, probably disappointing a little bit, but we know it's the Raiders and their offensive line sucks and their quarterback sucks. But Genty hasn't been where he needs to be, and so forth. And what is another example? And two, it's been players that it's not. I mean, obviously Lamar Jackson's up there, Josh Allen's up there, but like some players that we've seen in the past of, that put up, big fantasy football numbers haven't really. But yeah.
So you're saying surprises as bad surprises, guys that have not lived up to the billing.
Yes, correct.
I guess I can see that. There's players. I mean, you have those high hopes, but the situation changed, right? Like Chuba Hubbard is a guy that was top 12 running back last year, and that team struggled without Bryce Young, and then Rico Dowdle comes in and steals away the starting job. And so talk about a surprise on both ends where, I think Chuba was a 4th-round pick, 5th-round pick for me, and now he's someone that could be droppable in a couple weeks depending on how well this thing goes. And then there's the Kyle Monangai, right? That you maybe don't expect too much from him. He was a free agent guy because DeAndre Swift's kind of leading things, and they pass a lot over there. So and I think that's the fun of fantasy football, is it's like trying to keep on top of things and taking chances and trying to beat guys to the waiver wire. So you're not having to I would love to have that, because if I don't pick him up, maybe no one picks him up, and then we're all racing to try to get him going forward. So Mikey, what is anything that you've noticed, whether it's this week on the season, what's on your mind fantasy football wise these days?
Well, it seems like week to week, it's very inconsistent as far as we've had weeks that are just super high scoring that are crazy lots of points, and then we have weeks like this past one where it's kind of very low scoring. So yeah, it's just there's just no real consistency. I also think that there is a big teams are starting to separate.
That's exactly what I was going to say next. Was the separation in the standings is starting to get that. You can start to see it a little bit now.
Yeah, we had a log jam there for a while, but I think things are starting to spread out, or where it's becoming more clear cut top teams, bottom teams.
What do we have here? 5 weeks left to go in the season. So 7-7 for NWA. If they were to win out, that's a tougher ask to try to get into the playoffs. Not impossible, but I mean, you're talking about the 6th seed has 5 wins already under their belt right now in Gonzo Cats. So that's a tougher hill to climb. But then, you have Chad Powers, Belt Sanders, Cooper's Cousins, all with 3 wins apiece. And if they can get 5, if they win out, then they could be 8-6, and still tough, but not impossible. But yeah, you're starting to see some of these teams with these high scoring, and then some not so much. So that's the fun of fantasy football too, and still a lot can be determined here in these last 5 weeks as we go through. So should be fun, and I think that's all we have left to say. So week 10 coming up, the season, just flies by sometimes. And got to stay on top of those free agents. Things are still changing. People are getting hurt. And Mikey's got all the quarterbacks. He had 3 quarterbacks that had 49 or more points. Good for you, Miguel. Oh, buddy. Well, another week in the books. Eric Lansing, Todd Diamond, Mikey Renault. We'll see you next time on that MHA podcast.